Oh, there they are, right up there. Oh, come on. Oh. Righto, let's talk. And these ones, oh my God. Really need to put some order here. Okay, right. Let's talk. That was a saga. I really need to organise my books. Recently I've been getting rid of a whole heap of different books here in the house to make room for new ones, but there doesn't seem to be any order about them, and it is just a slow process. Let's talk about a new book haul. Let me get down there. Pick these up. Old lady noises there. Welcome everyone, my name is Helen Blunden. If you haven't been here before, happy to make your acquaintance. I've got this YouTube channel where I share some life lessons out of books that I read, and the books I usually read come from secondhand bookstores, independent booksellers. Sometimes I do read online books. I hardly ever listen to audio books, but I'm also someone who loves having the hard physical copy in her hand. Whether it's new or secondhand, I really don't care, because the whole idea is to immerse yourself into a different world, and out of what you're reading you glean some lessons that you can apply in your own life. But every so often I have a book haul, and this time round it was my husband's book haul, but it was my list that I gave him. You see, here in Australia, I'm in Melbourne, we've got these stores called Dimmicks, and it's a franchise, and their Dimmicks stores are everywhere, and if you become part of their membership you get discounts, and you also get an opportunity to go to book events and get books for free. Not for free! No, not for free. What am I talking about? I'm not completely right. Books at a discounted rate. With that in mind, my husband went to the recent book event and got these books which I asked him to. Okay, the very first one that I got was John Williams' Butcher's Crossing. I recently read John Williams' book called Stoner, and I loved it. I loved it, and it is one of the best books I have read this year, and a highly recommended choice. John Williams is relatively unknown. He's only written a few books and some poetry, but his writing is so lyrical, so evocative, so beautiful. It is about, I guess, the human existence. And when I read Stoner, I was enthralled about it, and it was kind of like reading it, you go, God, I wish I could write like this. You know, some writers just leave you speechless with their talent for writing. Well, that was it. I got Stoner, and in actual fact I even bought a second copy of Stoner because I included Stoner as part of my own book club. I run a book club at a golf club, and I decided Stoner's going to be one of the books that we're going to read, which I'm really looking forward to rereading and rereading again in the future. So John Williams' book Butcher's Crossing is one of his other books. This one is about Will Andrews, who is no academic. He longs for wilderness, freedom, hope and vigour. He leaves Harvard and sets out for the West to discover a new way of living. In a small town called Butcher's Crossing, he meets a hunter with a story of a lost herd of buffalo in a remote Colorado valley, just waiting to be taken by a team of men brave and crazy enough to find them. Will makes up his mind to be one of those men, but the journey, the killing, the harsh conditions, and the sheer hard luck will test his mind and body to the limits. Very much looking forward to reading this because of the themes that John Williams writes in his books. New York Times actually says that Butcher's Crossing paved the way for Cormac McCarthy. So there you go. I would probably say I would highly recommend this, even though I haven't read it. Okay. Second one is a book that is very well known to many people out there. It is John Steinbeck's East of Eden, and I'm going to put it out there, I have never even seen the movie. I have read John Steinbeck's books. I love his books, and I have reviewed a few of them here on this channel too. But this book I thought has to be in my collection. It is also a book that I've seen on YouTube, a lot of people talking about it and raving about it. I think it is one of the best genre books in American literature. It's considered Steinbeck's magnum opus, and its epic scope, because of its epic scope and memorable characters, exploring the universal themes of love and identity. East of Eden, I'm really looking forward to reading this one, simply because it is a classic, and it makes you really wonder and appreciate the longevity of some books and how they have some themes that we can all identify with, and themes that don't date as such. Regardless of what time period you read them, will always make some kind of an impact. I mean, gone are the days of school days where we had to read Steinbeck and it was forced upon us. Now in my older age, I can appreciate the writing, and I can appreciate the time, and also that kind of quiet, reflective time of reading his books and really getting sucked into the story and their characters, and trying to kind of align it to our life and our meaningful life and why we do the things that we do. The third book I got was John Fowles. Now, John Fowles, again, is a great author. When I read his book, The Collector, fell in love with The Collector. It was brilliant. It was brilliantly written. And I would say The Collector then quickly made it one of the best books I have read, and one of the books that I would take on an island if I was stuck out on an island. So I thought to myself, right, if he writes this way for The Collector, then I have to get all his other books. I did, and this was the only one that was left, which is The French Lieutenant's Woman. This was also made into a movie some years ago, but I haven't seen the movie. This is about Charles Smithson, who is a respectable engaged man who meets Sarah Woodruff as she stands out on the cob at Lyme Regis staring out at the sea. Charles falls in love, but Sarah is a disgraced woman, and their romance will defy all the stifling conventions of the Victorian age. It was widely acclaimed since its first publication, and it is profoundly inventive and a satisfying novel by a master storyteller. He wrote this and published it in 1969, so we're not talking about an author who is current, but he writes beautifully, and I thought to myself, I have to buy all his books because I want his books in my collection. Now, if you're someone who's saying, Helen, you said Lou, French Lou, isn't it left? Well, I remember in my old Navy days when I was a lieutenant. In the Australian Navy, we say lieutenant. We don't say lieutenant. I think in the Americans say Lou, and I mean in French, yeah. But yeah, not an argument I want to actually talk about here. So I'm going to say French lieutenant's woman. Next one is John Williams. Again, John Williams only wrote the 3 novels and then some poetry. So he wrote Stoner, Butcher's Crossing, and Augustus. So now I've got all of John Williams' books. Augustus is one of his, and it said here that the Scotsman testimonial says it's unreasonably neglected. John Williams' novels Stoner and Augustus are held to the light and shown to shine. And this one is about after the brutal murder of his great uncle Julius Caesar, Octavian, a shy and scholarly youth of 19, suddenly finds himself an heir to the vast power of Rome. He is destined, despite vicious power struggles, bloody wars and family strife, to transform his realm and become the greatest ruler the Western world has ever seen. Augustus Caesar, the first Roman emperor. Financial Times said this is extraordinary. So again, I'm really looking forward to reading his book, and I'm so glad that I now have his collection, so his books in my collection. These books that I've got here all are books that my husband also likes. My husband's books and my books are completely the opposite. We are not two peas in a pod. What's the opposite of two peas in a pod? We're completely opposites when it comes to our reading collection. All the books behind me pretty much of Stephen King, horror, thrillers, crime, you name it, that's his books. I've got all the literary, the classics, the Booker Prize winners, they're all mine. And never the twain shall meet, but usually sometimes there are books that I would say, man, you have got to read this, and he'll read it and go, yeah, it's all right. But then there are many times where I say, man, you've got to read this because I love it so much, and it was the best thing about life existence and the human dilemmas and this and that. And he reads it and he goes, it was shit. Old Man and the Sea was one. We had a standing argument over Old Man and the Sea. I loved it. He hated it. Another standing argument for The Catcher in the Rye. I loved it. He despised it. So we make very interesting conversation. That's our marriage. Anyway, there are books that he likes that I do too. It's very rare, but Shirley Jackson. Shirley Jackson is one of the authors that we both love. I recently read We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and I loved it. It had this kind of gloomy, very gothic feel about it, and I love the way that Shirley Jackson wrote. I have not seen the Netflix series The Haunting of Hill House. I've got no interest in it, but I would read the book. We bought her collection too. We've got The Sundial. The Sundial is about Mrs. Halloran, who is inherited the Halloran house on the death of her son, much to the disgust and ardor of her daughter-in-law, the delight of her wicked granddaughter, and the confusion of the rest of the household. But when the original owner, long dead, arrives to announce the world is ending and only the house and its occupants will be saved, they find themselves in a nightmare of strange marble statues. Oh, is there anything weird and horrible than marble statues like that Doctor Who series with the angels? Mysterious guests and the beautiful, unsettling Halloran sundial, which seems to be at the centre of it all. Shirley Jackson blends sinister family politics and the apocalyptic terror in a masterpiece of the macabre. Next one, Hangs a Man. Natalie Waite, a daughter of a mediocre writer and a neurotic housewife, is increasingly unsure of her place in the world. In the midst of adolescence, she senses a creeping darkness in her life which will spread among the nightmarish parties, the poisonous college cliques, don't you love poisonous college cliques, and the manipulations of the intellectual men who surround her. Don't you love the... No, you don't like the manipulations of intellectual men who surround her. Anyway, as her identity gradually crumbles, inspired by the unsolved disappearance of a female college student next to Shirley Jackson's home, Hangs a Man is a story of lurking disquiet and a haunting disorientation. Okay, next one. Oh, this one's a bit thicker. Just an Ordinary Day. Is it really an ordinary day when you read Shirley Jackson? Okay, let's see. There was so much evil in people. Even in a charming little town like this one, there was still so much evil. Why can't I write like that? Anyway, a college student receives a diabolical visitor. Two little girls watch a child through a bedroom window. That's not freaky. Malice and poison lurk beneath an elderly lady's perfect rose bushes. A shudder runs through the many of the stories in this collection. Ah, it's a story. Okay, from twisted tales of modern Bluebeards and Jack the Rippers to poetic fables and wry family dramas, Just an Ordinary Day shows a remarkable range of her writing, capturing the unease behind everyday American life with glittering brilliance. See, this is the thing. I don't know about you, but I love reading short stories. And short stories, I read them because they improve my own writing. I'm doing a bit of writing on the side. I've joined a course that I'm doing through the Australian Writers Centre, and I just love writing little stories, creative stories, because they just make me a little bit more creative, I guess, and just allow me to express a different kind of creativity in my work, apart from doing this stuff. And what else would I do with creativity? Okay, knitting, I guess. See, we need creativity in our life. And if it's a bit macabre, that's okay. Just write about it. All right, so that is Just an Ordinary Day. Two more. Don't go just yet. The Road Through the Wall. This one is an unburnished exercise in the sinister by New York Times. In Pepper Street, an attractive suburban neighborhood filled with bullies and egotistical bigots, the feelings of the inhabitants are shallow and selfish. What can a neighbour do to triumph over another neighbour? What may be won from a friend? One child stands alone in her goodness. Little Caroline Desmond, kind, sweet and gentle, and the pride of her family. But the malice and self-absorption of the people of Pepper Street lead to a terrible event that will destroy the community of which they are so proud, exposing the murderous cruelty of children and the blindness and selfishness of adults. Shirley Jackson reveals the ugly truth behind a perfect world. I'm going to like this. Sinister children. That makes for good reading. Okay, The Bird's Nest, which is the last one. Okay, I'll finish this and then you can go and get your cup of coffee. This one is about... these are my new glasses and I still can't see. It's an age thing, you know. Anyway, Elizabeth Richmond is almost too quiet to be believed, with no friends, no parents, and a job that leaves her strangely unnoticed. But soon she starts to behave in ways she can neither control nor understand, to the increasing horror of a doctor and the humiliation of a self-centered aunt. She's doing something that I do. Anyway, as a tormented Elizabeth becomes two people. Oh no, I don't do that. Then three, oh definitely not. Then four. Oh my God, this is just menopause. Anyway, each wilder and more wicked than the last, a battle of the wills threatens to destroy the girl and all who surround her. The Bird's Nest is a macabre journey into who we are and how close we sometimes come to the brink of madness. I am so looking forward to reading all of these Shirley Jackson books. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do a review on each because I don't know what you can learn from macabre about yourself, but maybe you do. Maybe you can. Oh well, we'll see. You let me know. Do you want one review per book or do you just want me rambling about all of them? It could take a while though. Anyway, that is it. That is my book haul. Let me know if you've read any of these books. What did you think about them? You know, did you love them? Did you hate them? Tell me why. Tell me the whys and wherefores. Tell me your life lessons. Anyway, that is it. I think magpies. I'm going to go out and feed them. All right then. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye for now.